We all have our comfort movies. For some people, it's Back to the Future, others, it's Die Hard, and believe it or not, Pulp Fiction is some people's comfort movie. But to me, I have a specific movie that I consider a comfort movie. And as much as I love all those movies that I just mentioned, this movie is a movie that I time and time again go back to and watch because I just absolutely love it. It just fits my aesthetic, my energy, and that movie is Source Code. Now, Source Code came out in 2011, and it's a movie that has twists and turns, and I'm gonna warn some of you, if you have never watched Source Code, I highly suggest you click out of this video and come back once you finish watching the movie, because I will be mentioning some spoilers in this video, so please be warned. I am going to talk about a lot of spoilery things that I absolutely love about this movie and that we ultimately get to see in this movie. So you are warned that there will be spoilers in this movie, and let's get into it. So for those of you who are not aware, Source Code is about a man who is kind of investigating a case on a train. Now, this train has multiple people, and he is kind of an investigator of sorts because there has been an incident with this train that he has to find out who did it. So, in a way, this movie is a bit of a whodunit, so they have to figure out who or what passenger did some really nasty thing, and that is they blew up the train. Yeah. So this passenger blew up the train, with a bomb, and they have to find a way to finding who this person is, who blew up the train. And all we are led to believe is that there is somebody on this train that blew it up. Now, as someone who was watching it for the first time, had no idea that the person could be on the train. For me, I thought, why would the person who is going to blow up the train be on the train when in fact they could be anywhere else? They could just be at their home. Somebody dropped the bomb off and another person pulled the trigger, or the person had built in a bomb into the train and that when it was being used, it probably tripped a wire and blew up. But no. In fact, the person is on the train, and we get to see who that person is, and when we find out who they are, we're like, oh my god, this person was being pursued before, and only now, at the end of the movie, do we actually see who it is, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant how we come about to this conclusion that this person is there, and obviously, I'm talking about from point A to point B, but in between, we get little glimpses of what happened to this investigator, this person. And Jake Gyllenhaal is great in this movie. He really does play the role really well. And it also kind of puts you in a mind-bending state. If you are watching a movie like Source Code, you've probably seen movies that are time loop movies. And, as weird as it is to say that this movie is a time loop movie, it's a time loop movie with a purpose. Because most time loop movies are like, oh, we're going to start the day again and again and again and again. And ultimately, it's for the character to learn a specific lesson. Like, we have time loop movies that go back and forth because the character needs to learn a lesson. In this specific movie, we are learning more about the character through the time loops than the character is learning about others or about his own actions, which is a very interesting concept. And, ultimately, we come to love this character. Ultimately, we come to love who he is and what he is trying to do and trying to learn about himself through these time loops. And it's a brilliant movie to just sit and watch. And, having Bridget Moynahan show up in this movie as well as sort of like his counterpart. And then we have Jeffrey Wright and Vera Farmiga, who's also in this movie. And, these are, actors who I was technically introduced to through this movie. Minus, Jake Gyllenhaal and Bridget Moynahan, but Jeffrey Wright and Vera Farmiga are two actors who I was introduced to through this movie. And they do a fantastic job in this movie as well. And honestly, every time I watch Marvel's What If, I hear Jeffrey Wright's voice, and I can't help but see him in the role that he was in Source Code when I hear his voice. Also, Jeffrey Wright was in Westworld, which I also very much enjoyed. So it is very strange to see, these people in this movie that I became introduced to, and then see them in other projects as well, because you just have these flashbacks to your own comfort movie. And Source Code also is a movie that is shot really well. I mean, cinematography-wise, it's very well made, and concept-wise, it's very well made. And honestly, I don't think the budget was very huge for this movie. I don't think it was a gigantic budget. But ultimately, the reviews for this movie are great. And I thought I was the only one who actually enjoyed Source Code. Believe it or not, if you go on Rotten Tomato, it has a great score. So on Rotten Tomatoes, we have Source Code in the audience category at 82% and in the critic category at 92%, which it's hardly ever heard of that you get this sort of like very well cohesive connection, because there are so many movies out there where people are like, wait a second, this movie isn't good or that movie isn't good, but this movie is really good. And I enjoy every second of this movie every time I watch it. I've made it almost a habit of watching this movie every year for me to like rewatch and catch little new glimpses. And even though I know certain lines and I know exactly what's going to happen in the movie, it's become a comfort movie for me. I watch it every year, and I will always continue to watch Source Code because it is a great movie, and I recommend you guys go out and watch it if you haven't watched this movie yet. So please go watch Source Code. I love it, and I really hope that you'll love it too. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video today of me pouring and confessing my love for Source Code. And if you like and have a comfort movie, tell me in the comments below. I want to hear what your comfort movie is so that we can have this discussion right here on this channel. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when videos like this, where cool discussions, where we can pour our hearts out in confession to loving our, comfort movies, are up on this channel. And thank you once again for watching this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.